everyone. Welcome all to the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. If you like going off-roading in Toyotas, wrenching on Toyotas, camping in Toyotas, and maybe even poking a little bit of fun at Toyotas, and of course, hearing about how fantastic 404 Unimog axles are in Toyotas, then this is the podcast for you. That's right, ladies and germs. My name is Tyler, and joining me for episode 404 is the one and only Mr. Jimmy Unimog Jet. Jimmy, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. I don't have a Unimog, but I wish I did. I used to, I had some 411 axles. Maybe we'll do Portal Talk on 411.
Oh, that would actually work
Since we have a good guest here today, and he doesn't have a Unimog either.
No.
The closest thing to a Unimog is that one right there.
I could use his tools to steal that Unimog over
yes. there. Yes, you could.
Oh, man. No, we got a really fun episode today. Today, unfortunately, but fortunately, is not about Unimogs, not about portals, not about 404s. Today is all about power tools.
Yes.
Which is going to be really exciting. So we have Lawless Corey here in the studio with his mic turned off a little bit. Sorry, buddy. He's actually finishing up his brisket nachos before we record here. So we're letting him do that while we do the intro. But episode 404. This is the first Monday of Power Tool Month.
Yes, it is. And we have some great information and make sure to listen to, 3/4 of the way, I think, going to be through the episode is when we talk about this week's giveaway. So you got to pay attention. You got to listen in, and we have all the details about what's going on for this week's giveaway about 3/4 of the way through the episode, I'm guessing.
Yeah, right around there. So, but we are finishing up the last week's giveaway.
Yes.
We do not have the winners yet for you guys, so we'll be announcing that on Thursday.
Probably Thursday, yeah.
But hopefully everybody got their entries in before the cutoff here. That one we're doing the 3/4 inch impacts from Flex Tools.
Yes. Yeah, so hopefully you listened to last Thursday's episode and if you didn't and you're feeling missed out and you wanted to get in, you guys really need to pay attention to the entire month of Tool Month because we dropped a golden egg in that one about what was going on, and we are getting the winners today to figure out who those were, and we'll announce those on Thursday.
Yep.
And there's a golden egg later in this episode for the next one. So, you guys really have to pay attention if you want to get entered into any of this Flex Power Tool Month stuff that's going on. All these donations are Flex Power Tools, which are awesome. We've got some fantastic giveaways going on all month long. Agreed.
We're going to have another golden nugget next Monday.
Yep.
And then another golden nugget the last Monday.
Yes. And we also have a monthly golden nugget if you want to continue down that road. We have our Snail Squad members are eligible to win the Supreme package. I think that's what we'll call it.
There we go.
The Supreme package from Snail Trail 4x4 and Flex Power Tools, where you get almost every one of their cordless power tools that they have available currently.
Yep. So super cool package. That's the one I want to win.
Yes.
So I'm going to make a couple entries there. It's going to be a fun month this month. We got a bunch of giveaways. We're going to have multiple winners. First week was multiple winners. I think this week is one winner.
One winner.
You'll have to listen to today's episode to figure out how to win. Next week, I think we have two winners.
There's two. Yeah.
And then the following week, I think we had two winners.
Correct.
And then the monthly giveaway is one winner.
Yes.
For the grand prize. Cool, man.
So
Power Tool Month.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff going on.
What is that? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11?
9.
9?
Yeah.
9 to 11. I don't know. We'll do that math later. Anyways, there's going to be multiple people that are going to be winning Flex Power Tools this month. So make sure to listen, keep on track, and keep up to date.
Yep. So keep up to date. We got looks like Corey is finishing up his nachos there. So we'll bring him on in. We'll get his microphone set up. So we'll take a quick break and we'll be right on back to learn all about the really cool stuff that Flex Tools is doing with power tools and I think more importantly, battery technology. They're really pushing the boundaries of battery technology for power tools, which then opens up the doors with what we can do with power tools.
Absolutely.
So we'll be right on back with Lawless Corey and to learn a lot about Flex Power Tools.
Are you tired of landing in potholes and bouncing off obstacles? To play at your full potential, correctly tuned coilovers allow you to float over the rocks and gain more traction. At 4-Wheel Underground, our full suspension systems include custom-tuned coilovers for your specific application. To learn more, visit 4wheelunderground.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentleladies. Today's Monday episode 404, we have a fun campfire discussion for you, which I don't know if this would actually qualify as a campfire discussion because I don't know how we would get all this stuff out to a campfire, but it'd be fun to play with around a campfire.
Somebody might be toting a lot of this around,
right?
Hopefully. Me.
Yeah. Man, we have Lawless Corey back in the hizzy for Power Tool Month. You guys have already heard of some of the details from last Thursday's episode. And we had the winner announced for the first giveaway. So the second giveaway is coming up this week. So this one, we got Corey here to talk about all the fun stuff that you guys are going to get a chance to win this month. Corey, welcome back on the show.
I just got one thing to start with. It's Tool Month! You get a tool. You get a tool. You get a tool. Maybe you get a tool.
Yeah, right.
I wish it was that great. But yeah, we do have quite a bit of tools here in the studio today. Mm-hmm. Thank you for bringing those down. And yeah, they're going to have a whole bunch of winners this month. So it's exciting time. So keep track.
Corey, you are kind of like our resident Oprah.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes. No, but yeah, no, this is going to be for those that love construction sounds and tool sounds. This is going to be one of those audio things that you're going to get a little, was it ASMR on?
Oh, what's that?
Where you play a sound for someone and they get a little love in their life.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
TMI maybe, Corey. But that sounds good. Yeah, we do have a plentiful amount of tools here on the coffee table this morning. So
we do.
Where do we want to start, Corey? What do you want to do?
Well, first I want to thank the people at Flex who stepped up and did this. So I know we proposed this when I first got hired. I said, "Oh, well, I'll see what they say." They've jumped on board and supported you guys full force to the point where it was like when we were talking about 2 months, we were saying, okay, what could we do? What could we do there? And then you guys floated an ask. So they said, yeah. And I was like, okay, I guess we're doing it. So I think the first year we did this, that was quite a bit. But I think overall per value and actually what people would want, I think this is probably the richest one that we've ever done. Mm-hmm. Especially when you start factoring in all the dollars of everything together
for the whole month. And it's got some, I'm a nerd when it comes to technology, right? So the ones we've done in the past with you have been great, but there hasn't been a ton of like electronic technology. And this one has some really cool electronic technology built into them. So
we're going to get really nerdy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to sit back here and sip on my coffee.
Are you going to be offline?
Yeah, maybe.
With your shirt?
Do you know where this shirt's from?
No idea.
When you log into Google and there's no internet, it's the dinosaur that you can can play.
I didn't know that there's a dinosaur game you can play. Yeah,
that plays on when there's no internet connection when you log in on a desktop. I don't know if it happens on mobile. Yeah.
I've never had
the dinosaur before. Runs along the ground and then you hit the space bar and it'll like jump over cactuses and stuff. So this is the dinosaur for when there's no internet and it's offline.
Because I've had internet issues over Memorial Day weekend, last weekend, and I never once saw a game pop up. I'm a little disappointed now.
Yeah, me too. Sorry.
Anyway, sorry. We got
Well, Birdwalks, welcome back to the podcast.
Yes. We're probably going to take a few of those as well.
It sounds great. Well, first of all, thanks you, Flex. We do appreciate that. We're super excited to be working with you. And I'm sure the fans are super excited as well to get their hands on some power tools, which is going to be fine and wonderful and joyous. So are you going to play some music into the mics and have people guess what they are? Is that what, is that how you want to do this?
I think we could kind of do a little bit of that. Name how well do you know your tool sounds? We could do a little bit of that. But we're going to play a little bit here, and we're mainly going to focus on kind of campfire discussion. I think really we're kind of going around here is where power tools are going.
Mm-hmm.
Battery technology. This goes a lot along with your last campfire discussion when we talked about outdoor power tool.
The small motors. What was it? The small off-road engines.
Yeah.
And by a side thing too, when I first saw that law too, I was like, they're banning what? The same exact thing. And then you dig into it. Flex also has a sister company, Ego, that's all outdoor power tool stuff. And so when we talk about kind of that stuff too, we could talk a little bit and circle back around kind of how that ties into why there are some laws going there, whether we like them or not. That's a different discussion, but to where battery technology is going to where there are problems being solved in that nature.
Mm-hmm.
But here's for those that want to know, this is your first one. It is not a hairdryer.
I was gonna say, it sounds like a hairdryer.
Well, I think you were throwing the wind into the mic there. There you go.
So that right there is 1,900 watts of power coming off of a impact.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy. So just for here, let me go. I actually have a DeWalt 20 volt tool here with us.
Oh,
I want to grab the battery pack so we can kind of grab stats off them and compare.
All right.
So you've got on that, where did that impact go? There it is.
There it is.
So it's a 6 amp hour battery pack.
Correct.
And I have here in my hand a DeWalt, and yours is the 6 amp hour 24 volt battery pack. And I have here in my hand a DeWalt 20 volt 8 amp hour,
which is the XR model.
The XR model, not the stacked.
Well, XR is important on that because there's 3 different models of DeWalt. There's the entry level, which is the non-XR, and which is kind of what you find in a lot of home improvements. And you have the XR, which is the higher output battery that they run. And then they have also their flex volt, and then now they also have their stacked, and we'll talk about that a little bit.
Yep. Okay, so this one actually does not tell me how many watts it'll output.
1,200 watts.
So 1,200 watts of output power. Okay.
And this one is
and 1,900. And the flex is 1,900 watts?
1,920.
Wow. So we're looking at almost a 50% increase.
Yes. So to give you an idea, and this is
over 50% increase.
So what we're looking at, and what we talked about it in the first one I came on a few months ago with the idea of stack lithium and the power output that it creates, but also kind of where things are going. So if you look at the equivalent of this 6 amp hour battery that we just played with and put the power output in it, it's the same as it's actually slightly greater than a DeWalt FlexVolt 12 amp hour output or an M18 12 high output. So that is their premium batteries.
Yeah.
And this 6
amp hour is about equivalent to the 12 amp hours from the better than the 12 amp hour from the other manufacturers.
Yeah. So 1,800 watts is what those high outputs are.
Okay.
And this one's 1,920.
Wow.
And this 6 amp hour battery comes with the majority of the kits that you will start seeing.
It's kind of like the standard I've been noticing with Flex. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, are there non-stacked lithium stuff that come out there? Yeah. So there's a difference between that, even though, there's obviously there's smaller batteries out there that they offer at 2.5 and those things there.
So you have a 3.5 over here on the vacuum.
Yeah. Give away what one of the tools are, but go ahead. If we grab that, Jimmy's going to be the gopher today. Every job site has a gopher. So now we look at this 3.5. Okay. So if we want to do a comparable to that 8 amp, here's that 8 amp DeWalt one you have here to take a play with this 3.5. That's the equivalent.
I was going to say it's a tiny bit smaller than the 8 amp DeWalt, your
weight and your overall. Yeah.
So it's as easy as just looking at size. So where does the size fall?
So size doesn't necessarily mean all that. So this is the biggest misconception out there, and this is what we want to try and get into. So,
that's what I tell the assistant all the time.
I know size isn't everything. There's two different things that we look at this, and this is where we're going to start getting into a little nerdiness with batteries. Amp hours is different than, it's not the longevity of the battery. And this is what I was talking to Morphlate Sean and Ryan about when we were playing with the tools. It's like, that's how long will that run? That's really, there's no way you could rightly put a runtime necessarily on a battery because it depends on what you're outputting and how much strain you're putting on that battery determines how long the battery will last.
Correct.
So then what is an amp hour?
Amp hour is
I was an idiot and thought that is exactly what it means.
Exactly. And most people think
and
that
I think
too.
it makes sense, right? Because these are how many hours I get at the amperage. And that's how I assumed it was.
In theory, that's kind of the only way you can really guesstimate how long a battery will last, but you never know exactly how many amps a motor in a battery tool is drawing at any given time, because they're all pretty much, they're not on off buttons, right? They're variable.
100%. I completely follow that. And my assumption was if I ran this at full speed, I should get 3 amp hours or 8 amp hours. And that's how I always assumed it. And I knew I wouldn't run it that long.
Yeah.
Right. Or I wouldn't be using it at its full potential that long. But that's sort of how I guessed it to be.
It's kind of, so your amp hours is obviously the minimum amps that will come out per hour based on the wattage, right? So it all depends on the wattage. It's primarily where your power comes from. So, and a lot of people don't really want to talk about that because, right, the wattage, especially on the coin cells, tend to be, or the cylindricals tend to be a little bit more limiting. And so, and you have to stack a lot more on there. It doesn't necessarily mean that you get any more output on it.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference with going stack lithium.
Well, yeah, watts also takes into account the voltage. So you're looking at, if you have a 24 volt system versus a 18 volt system, your wattages could be, if you have the same wattage, you're going to have different amp hours.
Correct.
Or vice versa. If you have the same amp hours, then you've got different wattages because the voltages are different.
So really, when we look at amp hours is a good test of really kind of, it overall determines kind of the size of the battery. And that's the thing too. So if you want longer, technically quote unquote running batteries, the higher number does help with that a little bit, because you're going to get you're able to pull more wattage for a longer period of time, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to run a longer period of time. So when we talk about, okay, well, I want an 8 amp hour battery, but this one's only 6, that means it's going to last. No, it's not actually going to be at all determining of that, because the watts out on the 6 amp flex is so far superior that and theoretically you're using less watts on all the motors, that you're not utilizing all the power capabilities of that battery. So you're not utilizing all the energy stored in it.
Interesting. So to me, if I was designing a tool and I designed a battery pack, an electrical system that could push more wattage, that to me means I get to use bigger motors in the tools.
Also very true too. And so
I wouldn't use the same motors and get more life out of the batteries. I would use more of the battery to turn a bigger motor
and have same runtime.
100% too. And that's also why you see here, and this is also, I will say this here, and when we get into Flex and what Flex means as a brand in general, I mean, they literally, the tagline, it's what's next, or, and the reason being is it's a very forward thinking brand. It's been around in Germany for a long, long time, but where it's getting its battery technology is from facilities that have been making batteries, all the components themselves, because no one would make batteries for them. And so they engineer everything from the boards to the guts inside the batteries, the connections and all that stuff. The only thing that they don't make is the lithium itself and the pouches there. So they buy it from the high quality people,
like the Samsung battery packs.
They buy from Samsung and all the other people out there that, that provide those, especially the pouches.
So let's talk about the batteries real quick, since we're talking about them. Typically in the past, when it comes to lithium ion batteries, they're all cylindricals, right? They're like, they look like big AA batteries, essentially.
Correct.
And even everything from like your Tesla car to Rivians, they're all powered with the same cylinder batteries for the most part. And then they're all just wired differently to reach different voltages and different amp hours.
Correct.
All of these battery packs from DeWalt, Milwaukee, Makita, Ryobi, Rigid, any of these guys, they're all using those cylinder packs.
Correct. And Flex has some of the cylinder packs too. Yes.
Okay. The problem with cylinder packs, and this is what originally, before I learned about what Flex is doing with their batteries, which is why I really liked DeWalt and where DeWalt was going with batteries, is they took square packs and packaged them. And essentially they're taking the same battery packs that are in your cell phones.
More or less, yeah.
More or less, and packaging them into a square packaging. So you have more space and packaging efficiency, right?
Correct.
So you're not putting a round thing in a square thing.
Exactly. You get lost space there. And so you're not really making use of the full space of what could be there.
Correct.
And so when I started learning about DeWalt's power stack stuff, I was like, that's awesome. And then I learned about what Flex is doing, not with the power stacking with the square battery packs, but how you guys are wiring everything for the input charging ability and the output of the battery, being able to really push the boundaries of how many watts the batteries can withstand being outputted.
Correct.
And so talk a little bit about that part, because the stacked batteries are kind of cool. I think people understand the idea of just packaging things for efficiency, right? Square things and square stuff makes for better efficiency. But what about the wiring? Why is the wiring so cool with Flex?
So going to a stacked, kind of not to backtrack too much, but going to stacked, right, allows you to do crazy different things with the wiring, as you mentioned. And and then again, Flex was designing this for over 5 years, and the yellow came along and threw something together with some thermal paste together, and it looked cool. It's smaller in some areas, but then that's why their wattage though is utterly garbage, and we're wondering what is it, how is it going to last? Not to talk bad about them, but but you've been around forever. But you compare the differences in the approach of it, you're seeing a clear difference in a winner. And when you look at the battery for Flex, and being able to design the boards and everything else along with it, and the wiring and the components. And then also there's something else in there that we'll talk about in a second. When you add all that together, that really gives you a larger watts. And when you look at just alone the battery packs, think of it as a highway versus a garden hose. And that, when you think of it that way, of an 8-lane highway instead of a narrow tunnel, we'll do car to car, right? You got a 1-lane tunnel. That's all the power output that can get out of there, of that battery. So when you can utilize the flat space and the tabs, and then also you start, and when we talk about tabs, the output tabs, then you can make circuitry in the boards a whole lot smarter. So that battery now becomes, instead of a simple just piggyback system, it now becomes a live microchip that's very smart, that can utilize different outputs and also do different things, technology, as far as drawing more power, less power, as far as identifying even bad cell pouches and not using them and converting it over to a different one.
Oh, interesting.
Or if it's dead, moving it on to another thing. So that's the other big thing too. You look at the future of this still here too, and you look at the Flex side of things, is the circuitry board in there can start detecting which pouches are dying or are going bad. With a cylindrical, you have no idea which one's bad.
You got to pull all of them out and test each one individually.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so when you start being able to design that, well, now even though your battery life overall is now increased, and that's because that's the one thing that we see here. And I had DeWalt, some DeWalt stuff from previous job at the house and other things of that nature. And I give you an example. I have a lawnmower, and one of the battery packs went dead in it, and I have no idea. So I have to take everything out, and it's probably just a small little connection part on one of the boards. And that's the big problem with DeWalt, the way that, and we'll talk about packaging here in a little bit. But when you look at it, one little thing on a cylindrical can cause the whole thing to be bad. You have far more room of things to go wrong with a stack lithium. And that's a big.
Yeah. And that's what I really drew me to Flex is the BMS, the battery management system.
Correct.
Of the Flex batteries it's way smarter than any of the other companies out there right now. The battery packs do end up being a little bit larger because of it.
Correct.
But it's a big benefit in my opinion, because it opens up the doors and opens up the future of what you can do with the tools now by being able to have a smarter battery that controls power differently than ever before.
Correct. And so when you look at something, go ahead, Jimmy.
Well, I was just going to ask is here more recently, we're finding tools that have variable power outlets on them. Like, oh, I only want, I want a low range or a medium range or a high range. And on some of these Flex ones, there's up to like 5 ranges.
Yeah.
So is that really the battery management system on the battery saying how much output it's putting is by how you're selecting it? Or is that more in the tool?
It's both, right? So
Okay.
you could run this on a standard stacked cell. Like, so if we were using like the 5 amp hour version of this, it will still function this, but your actual controllable variable speed. So as you're going to hear here, and that's a
Oscillating.
That's the
song,
oscillating one, yeah.
which is fantastic because we'll talk about a little bit of the different features in the actual tools. But as we're talking about battery, you have a lot more stabilizing power when you go through it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to have those. So it allows you to do a little bit more things, as Tyler was saying, without losing that draw. Let's go back to the impact. I can run the trigger and feather the trigger far more, which is what you noticed when you're doing the deck.
I noticed that too, just playing around with the tools today.
Yeah, so you're able to trigger it more before you go full force, and it allows you to kind of get into that there, as well as you can put it at a single speed and not utilize all that power. So it just gives you, and Flex is flexible.
Mm-hmm. A lot more options for whatever you're doing.
That should be their new tagline. Right there. Flex is flexible.
Yep.
So when you look at overall battery technology, the future is insane there. And so that gets us to, we talked about like the 3.5,
mm-hmm.
the amount of watts that you could, because now you're utilizing all the tabs.
Mm-hmm.
You're using a like an 8-lane highway.
Mm-hmm.
You're able now then to outpour all that there. But at the same time, with that control board, you're not just dumping all the power into the tool and completely draining it. You're able to more stabilize it with the battery management system.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's able to flow that far better.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other key thing that you mentioned here, and the differences between the yellow guys and Flex on those stack lithiums is the battery management system,
mm-hmm.
the cooling, and also allows it to recharge faster,
mm-hmm.
is also the cooling gel that's inside of it. So that's one thing that you'll notice in all of the Flex stuff, is that when you crack it open,
mm-hmm.
there's kind of like some jelly stuff in there.
Yeah. Okay.
And so what this is, like a cooling gel to help cool everything. So we know the worst thing, and this is what Tesla does with their cars and all the battery stuff there. The worst enemy for batteries is heat.
Mm-hmm.
Heat will destroy batteries faster than anything.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll notice 2 things on the Flex batteries. You'll notice a fan outputs a little grid on the front end.
Mm-hmm.
That's for air.
Okay.
Airflow.
Yep.
For when the tool's running, but also when you put it on charger. But also inside there's also this gel matrix that allows you to do different cooling parts of it. So that's the other thing you'll also notice with stack lithium is recharge times. And I did a test, and Jimmy was my unofficial timer.
Mm-hmm.
I had our 6 amp hour batteries. One of them was down to blinking to nothing. One of them was at 2 bars, and another one was, I think, at 1 bar, not blinking. And then I had a 10 amp that was down to 2 bars. And what was the average recharge time?
About 20 minutes.
About 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, the one with the 2 bars.
The 10 amp hour was a little longer, but
yeah, not too much longer.
Yeah, but for the 6 amp hour ones that were up there, I think it was 15 minutes to like 23, 25 minutes, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
From the one that had 2 bars to the one that had 0 bars.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's also an additional advantage if you're looking at this right here. No one wants a battery that takes forever to recharge. And so what good is a battery if you deplete it runs all, I have more power output, but I got to wait 9 hours. That's what I think that's what everyone's biggest holdup when you look at the automotive world, right? That's what everyone is like, well, and that goes back again to the, cylindrical batteries. Dairy changed in that. So you could only put so much power back into it too. And so when you look at what Flex is able to do, so if we were on that smaller 3.5 amp battery, Jimmy was at my house the other day. We ran it down.
Yep.
And we had a 10-15 minute conversation. It was pretty much already recharged.
Yeah.
And then that's not even the high output charger. That's the 4-bay single charger, which the 4-bay charger that charges everything at once, which is 280 watts.
280 watts.
280 watts each
per port. Yep.
So if we ramp up the 500 watt charger,
you'd bring that time down in half.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
If I ran that 3.5 completely dead,
you're looking 5 to 10 minutes to recharge it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then also that's the other cool thing about this stuff here is the quick get up and go part of this battery. So if you ever buy a Flex tool, you'll notice it comes with a single bar. You can put that, honestly, if you want to start using it that like immediately, you could probably do it, not advised, but you could throw it on a regular 280 amp charger, which a lot of stack lithium come with. And in 5 minutes, you can start using the tool because it'll be at 3 bars.
Yeah.
And so
it's one of those that has like a rapid charge for
Correct.
80% of the battery, and then the last 20 is slow.
That last little bit of recharging batteries always takes forever. So when you look at different things of batteries, the easy part to basically jumpstart the battery, it dumps it can and that's the cool thing about that. And they're noisy chargers, as we heard, right? There's fans on the chargers and it kind of goes, and there's a dual fan in there. That's what makes part of Flex's special sauce is not only does it have specialized boards in the chargers, but it also has the batteries that when it notarizes that and pulls different times of power, it allows itself to recharge a lot better and a lot safer too.
Yep.
So is that 80-20 mainly because when the battery's empty and the BMS can understand that, you can just dump a whole bunch in there, but you don't want to overcharge the battery. And so that last 20%, it's really kind of starting and stopping a bunch of times, figuring out when it is full. Is that kind of roughly how it works?
I don't know necessarily on that. I think it has a lot it has to do with obviously the heat of the battery. As you recharge more and you get to a certain mark that there's that gauge. Okay, how much is too much? Because you don't want to overdo it. But there's some components in there to go with that. It's just topping off anything with the fullest amount of storage. It's like a water container too sometimes, right?
Yeah, you can go. That's actually a really good example, right? Like if you have a gallon size jug and you have in your faucet or a hose and you're at full power, it's frothing, right? And it even though it might look like it's full, when you turn it off, it's actually like 80% full, right? And then you got to slow that down so you can top it all the way off. Actually, that's a really good example. Good job, Corey.
Well, thank you. Every now and then, right, we come with a good example, salespeople. So. Battery technologies is a really big thing, from you look at the evolution of tools itself and you look at like the overall market as it was in the early 90s, NiCad was like the thing, right? It was like, now we actually have something to go into it. And so DeWalt came out with that and it was gangbusters. And then you saw Makita come out in the early 2000s with lithium ion. And they kind of had a moment there for just a little bit there. And then Milwaukee came back in that with a better M12 and better lithium ion casings and you're really utilizing the different boards to get the power out of the battery. And then that's when you saw them explode. And then now we're seeing, I think, with Stack Lithium, the arms race, you want to say it was there, but you look at the full offering and full line, Flex is the only one that's supporting it and the current tools that you could run it into. And that's the other thing too, is because it is a 24 volt system, they thought ahead of this. So they just didn't want to say, hey, we want to make a really powerful tool, so we'll make it 24 volts. They saw where the market was going with battery technology and watts and wanting to match that with the tools. Now, so that's also why you see a bigger motor in a lot of as Tyler mentioned, in a lot of the tools. That's why you see different things in that, because this 10 ampere, this big boy, right, does 2,520 watts. There's nothing out in the market right now that is able to do this. And this is just the size of a 12 volt battery from DeWalt or Milwaukee. Maybe a little bit bigger, but not much bigger. But you look at this is a 10 amp hour battery. This is made for, as and we get into the next thing of tools, is like chop saws, miter saw. These will be running all that. Lawnmowers. Right? And go back to Ego, right?
Yeah.
So what made Ego very good was the way they use BMS, but also the way they stack the batteries into there and utilize that. So they're still cylindrical. And so they're trying to figure out even with that. And so, and this is a crazy thing going back to the small motors thing. When you look at stack lithium and how they are able to utilize that, you're going to start seeing this go in like outdoor power tool equipment. And you're going to start seeing it expand into that different things. You can put this on a blower, you know, Tyler's favorite thing, leaf blowers.
I'm leaving.
And you're going to get great CFM. It's going to match a gas. And then the best part of it is your run time's not going to run down as much, because as you get with the amp hours, and this is the thing, your amps is what the overall power. And this is the big problem. It's not that smaller, like a 20 volt or 8 amp hour battery can't necessarily power up something. It's the draw of the amps to continuously power something, which is the biggest challenge.
Sure.
Is that, and that's where we look at consistent watts throughout the whole entire battery.
Yeah. Well, when I was at your house a week or so ago, the day that I crashed Clifford, driving home from Corey's place here, I think we played with your DeWalt circular saw.
Correct.
And then we put the 10 amp hour battery on one of the flex tools, and the circular saw was bogging down on a 2x4. Right. But this 10 amp hour had no problems whatsoever. And it was just, that's a matter of the fact that this can output just so much more power, and last probably longer as well.
Yeah. My favorite demonstration with that, and I'll get this bad boy here, is I think everyone should know this. And this is one of the ones that's also going to be in the giveaway, as we'll talk about that here shortly, kind of all the different things. Everyone's probably favorite sound, especially when you're out on the trail. Everyone hears that, like, uh-oh.
Yeah, that and welders.
That and welders. And then we'll get the third one too that we hear. So this is obviously a reciprocating saw. And the video I showed Tyler and you've seen too, and we used this in the studio here a little bit ago, is the overall power that you can output on a reciprocating saw. It's crazy, especially when you're cutting into metal and frames. And I saw, we cut in some different frames in this. You could theoretically, we don't recommend this, but I have done this. I've put wood blades on these things, and we've cut a lot of metal, and it cuts it like butter. Now it's not good for the blade.
Yeah. Don't advise it for the blade.
Don't advise it for the blade, because you'll be going through a lot of blades and you'll be burning them up. But you couldn't tell the difference on then this, and then they were all very specific. We got to have this particular red tool with this very particular blade. And I sit there, I said, well, here, I got a wood blade.
Yeah, just throw that in here. We'll see what happens.
See what happens with it. And on video, Tyler, what did they say?
It said it smoked the red one.
It did. It smoked the red one. And I know
said it was way better.
Yeah, way better. And so, and everyone's sitting there like, what? Yeah, I said it's way better than Milwaukee. And it's not a knock on Milwaukee. And we're not knocking these other brands here, because they've been here in it for a while. And I know everyone has a lot invested sometimes in their battery platform. But we're talking about what's next, right? And educating the understanding that this is what this is getting you. And when you look at stack lithium and the difference between what the capabilities of cylindrical, we've reached that peak of that top. So now you're relying on the board of the tool and the motor of the tool to try and get even more out of it. And you're seeing a higher fail rate. And the great part about Flex is the failure rate is less than it's in the 1% range. It might have gone up as it's getting more popular. We expect it to go to 2 to 3%. Milwaukee, DeWalt are in the 7 to 10 range percent fail.
Wow.
Beyond the warranty, right before the warranty expires. When you're in the 1 to 2%, it's unheard of. And the reason being is the battery platform it's on,
Mm-hmm.
the tools itself and the motors that you're able to run in it, and also the technology and the different things that allows the tool to be better.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, they're even throwing a lifetime warranty, which is insane, right? The founder's warranty. Well, you mentioned that's what you wanted, Jimmy, to get in before that expires. So that will end this year.
That's at the end of this year.
The end of this year.
Okay.
I bought it at the end of last year because they were that was when it was going to expire. And they're like, yeah, we're coming out with a bunch more cool tools. Let's extend it a whole nother year.
Yeah.
So everybody has until the end of this year. If you don't win one of these tools, I think even if you do win it, you can register it.
Yes.
But if you don't get any tools this month, you can go out and purchase them yourselves or get them yourself.
Get a lifetime warranty on it.
They're at Lowe's typically is one of the major spots, and a lot of other hardware stores out there.
So we'll actually have a discount for you guys here. So we're partnering with Fasteners Inc.
Cool.
So they have a few different stores in California.
Mm-hmm.
They have one in San Jose. They have one in Sac. So we'll be doing the event in Sac. But they also have a very nice, very convenient website that you can shop on Instagram and all that. And so we'll get you guys a discount as soon as you start seeing them advertise online. They're getting everything there. So they're excited about this too.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this was a big deal for them. They sell every power tool you can imagine, and they sell a lot of them. So to get them to bring this in, they had to be sold really hard. And it was a lot of demoing, a lot of user feedback, and a lot of things to go along with that. And I will say, right, this has been proving in these different things. I showed them the video, right? The video I showed you. I showed them the different things that are going on. We went and did the demos. I'm like, yeah, if you had it, I would buy it right now. And they're like, okay, it makes sense. And, it really is like, when you look at this isn't, and again, right? Yeah, I understand you could buy a cheap tool anywhere. This isn't that, but it's also not going to cost you 10 times more than what you're already spending on your yellow and your red.
Cool. So same pricing on them. For tool options, I know that the Flex tool lines are a little limited right now compared to, the other colors on the market right now. But you said that's just, they're limited in the United States.
Correct.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about that and what's coming in here for the lineups for Flex.
So a lot of people that know Flex probably know them. They're actually the preferred in Premier polisher for Air Force One.
Okay.
So they actually,
I did not know that.
Yes, they are. So like I said, it's been around for 100 years. So they have the red line, which is going to get redesigned here shortly, and some of that there. But they've got a lot of drywall tools, polishing tools, automotive kind of style tools. So now the batteries don't cross over from this one to that one because some of them are 12 volt.
Okay.
But it will be crossing over here very shortly. But you can still buy the corded stuff and the red corded stuff. You can still get that here in the States, but what will be coming is a lot more of the battery stuff with the polisher. So Flex, actually, we're the inventors of this tool that we're going to be using here. They were the inventors of the angle grinder. Yes.
Interesting.
The battery. Yeah. They invented angle grinders.
Thank you, Flex.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the tools we use the most.
So, I mean, we use the cutoff wheel here. We use the double X here that we talked about in the previous episode. But this angle grinder here, and this isn't even and you have an opportunity to win one of these. You actually have this isn't even the 5-speed.
Oh yeah.
No. So this is the
3,
4 speeds on it, but it's not the 5 speeds a different animal on that. It's a little bit hard, but yeah. So you look at the angle grinder and running we talked about this in the previous time I was with you. The consistency of running amps in order to get the best out of your abrasives. This is the tool to use. You're using a 10 amp hour wattage battery. You're going to consistently in your amps output. You're going to get enough consistency, enough amps to be able to get away from corded. Yeah. And so there's, like I said, there's a chop saw out there that's in the Sacramento market that's being tested that is running on these 10 amp hour batteries. And so, yeah, as we get more and more into this, you're going to see more and more tools come out that. So there's going to be automotive line tools here in the future. So we got to get the core construction stuff mostly launched here.
General contractor stuff.
Yeah, all that stuff. So compacts are already out. The other new tools that just got launched, you guys are going to get one is the bandsaw.
Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the bandsaw, those are 6. So there's 2 different models, right?
Mhm.
So the compact one and the full cut one. So because the diameter of the stuff you do, I believe Jimmy, you chose the full.
The 5-inch,
Yeah.
I think it is.
So the
Yeah,
four-
I charged the
yeah.
larger one
Mhm.
Yeah.
for the giveaway item. I figured most of the time we're cutting, 1 3/4 inch stuff, but every once in a while we might need to cut a 4x4 or something up,
Mhm.
and that's the reason I wanted a slightly larger opening. I think the opening difference is like 3.5 versus 5.
Correct. Yeah.
So-
Yeah. So that the 2.5, I think it's like a 2.5.
2.5.
It's like, yeah, the handheld one is yeah, it's like 2 inches, a little bit more than 2. You get that there. It's for that, just that threaded rod and different things people working
Conduit, stuff like
conduit,
that.
stuff
yeah.
like that you're needing to cut, or something very small that you're bracing something with. You're going to weld
Mhm.
something really quickly too. So if you're looking at cutting full, diameter pipe, then you're in those cylindrical stuff. You're going to want that
Axle tubes.
axle
There you go.
tubes is
Yeah.
exact example, right? You get that thing,
Yep.
you get that thing out, and that thing will cut it like butter, especially
Mhm.
on that 10 amp hour battery.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah, like
what was your OD on those?
3.5.
3.5.
Yep.
it would fit.
Yep.
And you were
Mhm.
wishing you had it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had a different one. I went out and bought another bandsaw, or a bandsaw, a portaband, specifically just for my axle tubes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep. And we all been there.
Yep.
I have many
Mhm.
tools in my house that I use for one thing, and I look at it later. What did I even buy this for?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that one project I did, and then
Yep.
yeah.
Well, what I want to do, because I don't use it that much, but I would love to use one more as a band saw, not necessarily a portaband, is to mount it to a jig on a wall.
Mm-hmm.
And that way you can remove it from the wall if you need to use it on for tube or whatever else. But when it's up on the wall, you can use it for smaller plate stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And then the other one that's coming out too is the die grinder.
Oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The die grinder is that's a cool little tool if you ever have to clean out pipe or deburr,
Mhm.
those different of that nature. It's
I have my Dremel I use all the time, but it's corded.
yeah, and it's
So
a
it'd
pain.
be nice to have one without a cord.
And you'll be like, and I will tell you this too: the difference in the RP, like the power that you'll feel with this other one, you're like, oh, compared to the little Dremel.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I mean, everyone uses the little Dremels and other things of that
Mhm.
nature. That and this is like kind of like a step up in those things.
Nice.
So I mean, yeah. So the tools themselves are premium when we talk about Flex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm super happy with, I have that drill and the impact combo. And I've now moved my Milwaukee brand to the house. And the
Makitas?
Thank you. The
Yeah.
Makita brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've moved those to the house, and they're just sitting there, not doing anything on one of the shelves there. And I've now replaced the limited tools that I've ever have in power tools. Is now I have those 2 flexes in the shop for anything that I ever need it for. And we got to play with that 1/2 inch impact, high torque impact the other day when you came over to my shop.
Yeah.
And, we were playing with that versus the 1/4 inch impact. And I'm actually very impressed with the 1/4 inch impact,
Yeah.
because it was able to do, we were only throwing on lug nuts, right? We didn't do anything too massive, and lug nuts I torque mine down to roughly 90 foot-pounds of torque,
Mm-hmm.
90, and they go up to 100 whenever. I'm not that specific, but the 1/4 inch impact was able to take those off with a little bit more work than the 1/2 inch one did. But I'm sure those 1/2 inch one threw them on so much more than that 1/4 inch.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, and the differences between, right? You're looking at the motor, the
Mhm.
motors between them,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And so the anvils inside of it.
It's like twice as large.
Yeah, it's twice as large. Yeah, thing's a beast. And we're gonna
The
do
thing
a
I
little,
liked about the 1/2 inch impact is that it has its own suspension system.
Yes.
Yes.
I noticed. I'm glad you noticed that.
Oh my God.
I took
Yeah.
it out and I literally had to message one of the product people because I was like, wait, this feels like weird. So it's not
Yeah.
broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, this
Because
is
I'm so
broken.
used to it. Because
The head does its own thing.
yeah, and when we talk about some of the cool things that are Anaflex, they really have the user in mind, and that's like
Mhm.
an example of one of them. Because they call them right, and everyone in the industry calls them right, not, what is it, rattle guns essentially,
Oh yeah.
because they rattle and shake you.
Mm-hmm.
Flex is very cognizant of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you look at the difference, even with we said with the reciprocating saws, there's anti-vibrations in the collars.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at also that impact, it's on air suspensions.
Yeah.
So you won't feel it So you're like, what, did it go?
Yeah.
Yeah, it went and it's gone. Like that stuff's gone. And so
you can feel the initial torque.
Yeah, you can feel
but
it
then
there.
you don't really notice a whole lot.
Yeah.
And when you stop, you'll even see the motor section or the top of the head area kind of jiggle to the stop, but you don't feel it in your hand.
It's different. It's weird. It's like I showed you the inline saw. It blew your mind a little bit here. You were having a hard time fathoming an inline saw.
Yeah.
And so, there's just some cool things that you're able to do, and that they're able to think about this. So they're just not doing a lot of Me Too products. They're really stepping up and doing different things.
Gotcha.
So you look at that one-handed wrist sip. Go ahead and grab that, Tyler. And you'll notice that's smaller than the Milwaukee.
Okay.
12, and it has that same it has a little bit of the anti-vibration in it as well. But then look at the voltage and everything like that. It's a 24 volt. So you're actually able to get more power out of it. I was using that one hand to prune trees the other day. Just real quick, little things out there. So we look at kind of like what you need that one hand. Well, if you don't want to have a big old sawzall, or a big reciprocating saw, you can easily put that one-handed one into your travel kit, and it will do fairly close to what you're needing for quick cuts. If you're cutting hose, you're cutting different things. If you're just cutting smaller metal, it'll do the trick for it.
Yeah. So this one here, and what immediately came to mind was trail maintenance days.
Yes.
Correct.
When we're having to go through and trim bushes out of the trail, this is what came to mind. I was like, oh man, this is perfect. You can do up to 2-3 inch diameter limbs off of stuff, and you just go through just one-handed through everything, and it would work beautifully.
Until Flex comes out with their chainsaw.
There are plans for it. Yes.
Sure.
So, and the sister brands, we already have some. So but Flex will, I mean, they're going to come out with the OPE here that, not to the degree that
What's
you'll
OPE?
see outdoor power tool
Gotcha.
accessories and equipment, outdoor power tool equipment. So that's going to be more towards the main one that we see, Ego. But Flex is definitely going to have a line of entry stuff in there, and a chainsaw will be there. So
gotcha.
Like you look at the stuff, going back to kind of the stuff that like Ego will get into is the larger stuff. As they start getting to the larger stuff, you'll see smaller chainsaws, the smaller battery power stuff, Flex. But so there'll be one there. There'll be the ratchets that will be coming out in a few years. Hopefully in the next year from where we're at now, there'll be some ratchets that are in there. They already have some in the sister brand Skill. So they're not going to forget that, you guys automotive people. The compacts have just been launched, so that smaller drill. So if you're wanting something more lightweight, something more compact for a drill to get in and out of an engine bay, those are already out. There's automotive lights already kind of somewhat out. So there's some kits that come with some of those there, and they'll be expanding that.
Sweet.
Another thing that we haven't mentioned, but it kind of dives into the technology that we've been talking about, is on the drill. The high end turbo drill, it has a wrist protector.
Anti-kickback. Anti-kickback. So
I like to call it the wrist protector. Because you're drilling through something and it'll snag, it'll catch, it will like somewhat lock up, air quotes, and it just throws your wrist at a funky angle.
So
I sprained my wrist twice drilling holes in the back of my radiator shroud.
So you really like, I would have really loved that.
Dude, this sucks.
So that's why everyone loves impacts, because it doesn't kick you, and that's why everyone moved there. And then but drills essentially are probably far better. I mean, because they're drills. They're far
drills.
better at drilling and getting into things. And sometimes we use impacts to drill screws, and you're like, just use a drill sometimes. It's like, I don't want to yank my wrist. Because it's too much power. And that's the cool thing about the Flex. It has that anti-kickback, so that when you could do it yourself, by just turning your wrist real quick, it'll shut it off.
Okay. Yeah.
I believe there's a gyroscope that's inside of it that measures the there. So if you slowly do it, then it's not going to happen. But any kind of jerking sudden motion that feels that, it's going to kick and turn off. And some other companies have a version of that too, but this one is probably with the most, I would say,
specific
or really fine tuned in to where
sensitive.
I wouldn't say it's overly sensitive that you mean, but you can get it to go, and 100% of the time it will go. And so I remember the same thing, right? We moved into the new house, and I was drilling some frames into some wood, And, for the bed, because the headboard wasn't attached, it's like, I'm going to drill this in. So I put some lag bolts in it because I didn't want to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was getting those lag bolts in there, and because, I didn't have my impact at the time working, or I can't remember. I think I didn't have the bit for it.
Okay.
That would hit that lag bolt, but I had something that could go into the drill driver.
Mm-hmm.
So I put it in there, and it kicked so hard, my hand hit the back of the frame. In black and blue, all up on the hand. So it's going to save when we take a look at a user, and for even automotive situations, it's going to save you guys when you're getting into there. You're not going to hit yourself on the engine bay if you're trying to drill tap something, or you're trying to put a thread in there, or you're trying to take something out, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to kick back and just all of a sudden destroy your hand.
Yeah. So talking about this drill and impact combo kit, we are giving one of those away this week, right?
Here we go. Everyone check under their seats.
Everybody look at me. How do you win? Explain what's in this kit. Everything that's in it first. So we have the drill, the driver, the impact 1/4 inch.
Correct.
Batteries, charger, bag, anything like that in there?
So it comes with a bag.
Okay.
Right. So all Flex tools, and especially the kits, they come with a nice little bag.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get and this is the stack lithium one, correct? That's the one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it will come with the higher watt charger, the 280 watt charger.
Cool.
Which is really good, which is really cool. And a 6 amp hour stack lithium battery to go with it. So it gets you on the right platform of what the Flex has. And it's a really good starter for you to go along with those things.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it has it's the turboed drill that we were just talking about that has the anti-kick on it. And it's the 1/4 inch impact that has the quick eject, which we never really, we didn't talk a whole lot about it, but it has a button on the very front of it that will actually
Eject
release the collar that you typically are used to. So you can pull your chuck out, which is actually really nice. Cause now with one hand, whatever you were drilling, all you have to do is reach up and hit the eject button, and then you can pull your bit out. You don't have to move your hand around to release the collar. So it's a really nice kit. It's the exact kit that I bought at the end of last year for all my projects going forward. So stoked to be giving one of these away this week. Want to tell everybody how to do it. Do you remember, Corey?
Well, I'm assuming that you're wanting to tag some friends here with this one.
That's what we're gonna do. Yeah.
So we're going to take on Monday when this episode airs. Jimmy's going to post a post, probably with the episode thumbnail over on Snail Trail 4x4 on Instagram. So you just need to go on that post and tag 3 friends, and then follow Flex Tools and follow Snail Trail 4x4.
Yeah.
And then we will announce the winner on
probably Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah. So next Thursday, not this coming up Thursday. So we'll have the winner of that one. So yeah, pretty cool. Driver and impact for a lucky winner here for week 2 of Power Tool Month, the Flex Power Tool Month.
Yeah. I mean, you guys can all thank Jimmy and Tyler for coming up with some really good, gifts for you guys here. I mean, there's really cool stuff in there. I mean, congratulations to the winner that won, those 3 winners that won the impacts.
Yeah.
All right. So that's
from week 1.
That one, so I think we said it early in the episode, but obviously we're recording ahead of schedule. So that'll be announced on Thursday.
Yeah. Okay.
That the Thursday following this episode.
Yeah, because we're doing Monday through Sunday for the weeks essentially, and we record before the end of Sunday. So we'll announce it next Thursday.
Winners will be announced on Thursdays.
Yep.
Yeah. So congratulations in the future for those that are going to win that.
Yeah.
On Thursday's episode. And then if you want to go over, Jimmy, let's make sure we cover all the tools. We covered the impact. We covered the drill drivers that we're giving away. We covered the batteries and the chargers that go along with it. I think one of the other items that you guys mentioned.
One of the other items that we do have coming up in the giveaway, but we aren't going to tell you how to win it yet, is the Flex Stack Packs.
Correct.
Which there are a lot of brands out there that have similar things. I'm glad you're here to explain the differences between them, but essentially they're a cart with boxes on it that you can move around and carry to job sites. Or I was just saying earlier how I wish I had one to take it out to pick and pull, because you can put all your tools in it and then wheel it out into pick and pull. But yeah, it's essentially that. And by a quick glance, Tyler even said, why are all these attachment points all over the
I was
place.
like, what is this?
What's going on here?
What is this?
And I don't know if that's common in other brands because I've not paid attention to them, but it seems like the Flex stack packs have pretty much endless ways to attach things to it, which is pretty cool.
I like to think of it as the Overlanders edition.
That is actually probably the best compliment. No, well, for you, Tyler, now, right? Yeah. I mean, Mr. Ford Overlander over here. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, on a side note, I'm just glad I can make this a Toyota podcast again.
Yes, I do appreciate that. Thanks for bringing an actually running Forerunner into this world again.
Yes, and the Tundra out there, she's a beauty.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
mm-hmm. and raise your hand if you drove in a Toyota.
I did today.
I didn't. I almost did, but I was like, eh.
I almost drove Bobcat.
So like, there's a point now. Like, I think we got to get rid of the Yoda on your nickname instead of Ford Yoda. It's now just Ford Tyler. 4x4 Ford Tyler.
I have another announcement come up, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh boy.
All right.
But anyway, so back to the stack pack. So it is the overlanding, essentially those things, which is really cool. I mean, it's kind of I would say it's also kind of the Rocklander, version of that. Because it's got some features in there that are really well thought out, really durable. Mm-hmm. They show in the videos that they drop a brick on top of these stack packs and it survives. So the reels are upgraded versus what you see out in the market. Mm-hmm. The stacking on it is really well thought out. Mm-hmm. And that's the big thing is they saw what was out in the market and it's just not a me too kind of thing. Oh yeah, we can come out with one. Mm-hmm. You look at it, I try identify problems in the market. I mean, I think Morphlate did a really good job of that. Right. Mm-hmm. And then, okay, how can we solve some of those pain points within that market? Mm-hmm. And so some of those things are just even really simple things. Mm-hmm. And I showed a photo of
small details.
Yeah,
I showed a photo. A huge difference on the final product once it's all put together.
And I showed a photo to you guys this year. You guys didn't quite understand a little bit, but those that haul around the Milwaukee version, some other versions out there know this. Tonneau covers and thank you, Jimmy. My tonneau cover is fantastic. Mm-hmm. I love it. You're welcome. But the biggest problem that you have with that is you can't put these packs in there, even the base on it. It won't fit because the handle under tonneau covers.
Yeah, you can't put it upright under a tonneau cover because the handle sticks up further than the tonneau cover is in your truck. Yeah,
correct. And so now Flex has a removable handle.
Yep.
They're the first one, and it's really easy to do too. So others have tried to emulate it after the Flex, after they came out with this stuff, and it's really hard to maneuver these things. It's literally just two buttons on the back. Mm-hmm. You just press those two, click them in, click them out. So you could actually run it without clicking in all the way, and then you could just extend the handle. And you just press the button, the handle comes off. Mm-hmm. You put, boom, right underneath your tonneau cover. It fits really nice and beautiful. The other thing is the latching systems are very, very versatile. Mm-hmm. So you're not stuck with the different combinations. You could do different things within it. So inside, underneath
very
the lids,
modular. You have a lot of different options in how you want to run it.
Correct. Mm-hmm. So the lids underneath it have very specialized things. I think I showed you, you brushed up on your Spanish a little bit because it was the Spanish version of it, but there's a ton of accessories and there's even more coming out. Mm-hmm. And you asked for what's this one in the front? I said, well, that's extension cords. Mm-hmm. That alone for me is a money saver. Yeah. People that are going to job sites, or even if you're utilizing it for your vehicle for a storage system, if you're choosing to do that, do you want something there? Being a place to put your extension cords and not in a box is huge. I think all of us have boxes of extension cords or somewhere, or they're laying around somewhere, or we hang them up. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, okay, well, how am I going to hang this and put this on my box when I'm going to go do this project or whatever it is? Because you're wanting power to charge things. Now you can do that. But also if you wanted to put rope on it or say
a winch extension,
or if you wanted to put cable on there, right? For your as I mentioned, for the winch, or say you want to put some recovery stuff on there, you could absolutely do that as well. So it's a really versatile thing. It's just really just two plastic hooks, right?
Yeah.
But inwardly, but it bolts onto the system, so it's really sturdy. Mm-hmm. We also have different holders and different things on there. So we have little pocket ones that you could hang stuff with, or you could put even like a level on there and it hangs from your box. We have tool holders on the back end. So say, hey, I want something to be able to hang my tool on it. Well, on the back side on this one here, I was able to put that there.
Well, they have them as well. I was looking through your catalog for the sides too.
Correct.
So you can put them on any side, not just the back side of the stackers.
Correct. Well, you can move. I mean, you're saying you had that that thing on the back, but you could move it to the front and utilize another one of these riv nuts or whatever that are in those metal plates. Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the cool things about it, and other systems out there. But the neat one about the Flex is, it's got so many more attachment points. Like there's really like almost an endless opportunity to set it up specifically for yourself and how you want to run it.
Correct. Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, and you can add on top of those things too. So you notice even on the brackets on the
side for the level
side, on the level holder, as I call it, or the pocket one, you'll notice there's actually screw holes in there too. So you can actually on the other side. So if you wanted to extend something out, you could actually put something else on there. So it makes it really cool. And then the cool things that's coming out too is even like table trays. So think of like a dinner table. So now we have foldable trays that are going to come out on these boxes as well, that you're going to be able to lift and stow, different things. So that way, if you need to extend it out, or even if you want a working surface, extra extended working surface, you could actually do that a little bit too on it. But it allows you, right? If you just want have like a little like parts or little bin placement on it, you can put it on the middle box and it will fold out, as a little bit thing there. Or say you want to store them in your garage, you could actually get that bracing, put it in your garage, and now it folds away on a wall, and it folds down and folds away too. So it's really cool when you look at just the kind of the versatility of these things, as well as drawer systems are going to come within this model. So you're going to be able to get a base and different things with drawers, so you don't have to take top, because that is the one like
in order to open the base one, you have to take the handle off. But I mean, since everything's connected to the lids, you can open them up.
You don't have to take the handle off. You can open the bottom of the handle, but
you have to take the other cases off.
Yeah, you have to take the top two off in order to get to the bottom base.
So we're looking at a stack pack of 3 boxes, and then there's a charger on the top. So you can open each individual lid with the other things on top of it, which I think, because the very first time that I saw it at your house, I started taking them off so I could look in what was like, was it set up inside the box there? And then you're like, why are you doing that? You can just open the lid. And I was like, oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. With the exception of the lowest one, because when everything leans backwards, when you open the lid, it would hit the handle, unless you remove the handle and it's inside your bed or something. But yeah. I'm thinking that one of these would be cool as my new spare parts bin or fluid containers that I could latch into the bed of Bobcat.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could definitely do some of that stuff there too. And the wheels on it are really durable, as I mentioned before. The other thing too is, Tyler's, you open it, just go ahead and open that top one. It's unlatched. Gas shocks in there, which is really nice. There's gas shocks that are the lid. So you only open that middle one too.
Maybe the middle. I didn't see where there was the top one. I didn't see. There's the gas shocks. There wasn't ones on the top one.
Yeah. So you see,
as I say, that one I can feel the gas shocks. So yeah, they're in that one. They're not in the top one.
No, the top one's just a regular lid. Yeah. So if you open the middle one there, that's the gas shocks.
Interesting. Yeah.
And it has it on the bottom lid too. So it allows, right?
So you can literally have a bunch of shit in their top boxes and still get into them just fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a big benefit when you look at it, as Jim was mentioning, right? You put a bunch of stuff on there and being able to open it. That's another problem with the other ones, right? It's really heavy and then it's, I can't get into that. So you have to take it off, put it back on. This allows you to.
You said that there's also accessories to mount stuff on the insides of the lids.
Correct.
Which is also another big space-saving packaging detail that goes a long way for people that would need to use this kind of thing.
Yeah, and there's also really cool things there. If you open the middle one there again, Tyler, you'll also notice my battery holder inside of there. And I put all my batteries
on the sides,
middle. Yeah. And so you can literally stack up the batteries in there, so it doesn't take a bunch of space up. And we could put a tool in there, or just add more batteries in it.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty nifty. Yes, those were hanging on the outsides of the cases in the catalog,
correct.
But
you can also put those on the outside,
you can put them on the inside. That's neat.
Yeah, so you could get a bunch of those and you can put them all different places. So the cool thing about it is it's like no setup is going to be the same.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of really, it's like a Lego of boxes.
Yeah.
And customize it to your needs.
You can customize what you want to do. So, I mean, if you don't want the 4-port charger on there, your battery charger, you could put the fan on there.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that there's a ton of different, I think that's one of the, so when I first saw these, I thought exactly it was just a Me Too product. I was like, oh, you guys are just doing stackables. Okay, cool. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. There's a lot more going on here. A lot of small stuff. The one thing I really love is that there are riv nuts everywhere.
Yes.
And so you can put these brackets on, and literally, I think the aftermarket creativity for these is going to be really interesting in creating brackets for all sorts of different things for them, just because the ability is there to be done.
And that's what they kind of really left it like that. And that's why when they really designed this, like, okay, we know we're going to come up with some different crazy things. We can't do it right now. And that's where you're seeing like the folding shelves and some of the other stuff that I can't even talk about that are going to come out with some of these things that are, it's going to be, quite crazy with that, so you think about it, it's okay. It's a plastic bin.
Yeah.
But
it's so much more than that though. When you start looking at all the details and those different things of that makes it really kind of cool. And it's really durable. And that's the main thing for like, us that are taking it different places. Like it's really durable and you could make it as big as you want or small. So, I mean, if you wanted to buy another 3 units, essentially you could put 3 more stacked on high of it. So you make a giant wall of it. It doesn't matter. Good luck lugging it around. You could totally take, say, this one or this one, even the bottom one, and create a big power station out of them.
I know your brain was going there.
Yeah. So you can put a 2000 watt, and that bottom one, you could put 150 amp hours of battery in there with a 2000 watt inverter, and then cut out the sides and put little ports in it for everything. And that's your base one. They've got everything else on top.
Hey, are you going to design one and send it over to Flex for them? I think they're going to be listening to this.
You're just what you need to do is just figure out a way to stack a bunch of those 10 amp hours all the way around on the inside. And there's all your batteries that you need. And now you just need that inverter or the main charging system that connects everything.
Yep.
And you got then, and what would sort of be, it would be heavy, but what would sort of be cool about that is you never really need to get into that bottom one. So you never really need to pull the handle off. So you'd always have the top two.
Yep.
Yeah. That'd be, well, make one, Tyler, and I would be interested to see it.
You could even take that concept of all the batteries in there and then put on welding ports for welding leads on it too.
The Arc Badger is going to come after you.
I know. I got to talk to those guys. I got to go talk to Lone Pine now. Anyways, these are really cool. And so we're giving away a set of the stackers too this month. And so you guys got to keep listening to figure out when and how to win those. So cool products, cool stuff, man.
And then we're giving away, like I mentioned before, the bandsaw. Are we giving away a recip?
I want to say there's one in one of the kits.
I want to say we chose one of your kits that has like almost everything.
The full starter kit. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we added a few additional things like the bandsaw and a grinder to that kit because it wasn't in there. So I think that one has the recip in it.
Awesome. Yeah. So you guys can, I mean, the full winner for the month is going to walk away. I think that's probably
for the monthly giveaway. Yeah.
The monthly giveaway. So if you're not into that, sorry.
Our Patreon or our iRate 4x4 Snail Squad monthly giveaway, I think is pretty much one of every tool that Flex has with a version of it.
Yeah.
Like not the small bandsaw, but the larger bandsaw, not the one-handed recip, but the larger one. So that's our monthly giveaway, which you probably heard at the beginning of this episode.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, so which is fantastic giveaway. I mean, that itself is, I mean, so whoever wins that, I hope they love it. And then the other thing too, is if you don't win something, as I mentioned before, our partners that we're doing this with Fasteners Inc. We're going to be out there, on the 15th,
June 15.
July
15th.
July 15.
Yeah, people go to 15th. July 15th, we'll be out there. So the deal is, right, I know Jimmy's going to be there, and I'll eventually get Tyler to go there. He doesn't know that yet, but I'll wear him down. But he may be somewhere else, but hopefully he'll be there. If not, we can get the other people out there. But I want you guys all to show up, really, kind of, because if you support events like this and you support Jimmy and Tyler and doing these things, we get to do more cool giveaways like this, and it really improves that stuff. And we're actually able to give you better discounts on products through things like fasteners. But we're gonna have the taco truck out. Nice. So every listener that comes in there and we'll have some free tacos for you guys. Sweet. And possibly some cervezas. Free as well. But I want you guys to bring out your rigs, show them off, and kind of it's a cool opportunity. There's a giant parking lot there. I got to talk to Dimitri still about some things too that he could offer for you guys too to kind of do that stuff.
Nice.
But it'll be kind of a cool kind of get together, hang together. You guys can see a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool power tools. Get to play with this stuff. And then any of those listeners that do buy something, and you let me know you're a listener, I guarantee you're going home with some extra free batteries and shirts and things like that. So we'll have shirts to give away for everyone. We'll have, stickers galore. So we'll have some really cool things for people that just show up that just want to see some free stuff. Yeah, we'll have that for you. And some free tacos and some adult beverages. But at the same time, we'll have some people that do actually end up buying something. We'll have some extra goodies for you guys too, incentives.
Sweet.
And everything will be hot deal. So
nice. Hopefully not too hot when it comes to batteries.
not too hot, but hot enough that you'll thank me later as you walk away with a bunch of stuff. So so we'll have a lot of cool stuff there for added in, and then there'll be a lot of us there, and then also just be really cool. They'll see everyone's face like, look at this rig come in, and like, what is this? And then because people that understand it, and some people understand the off-roading thing, but a lot of people don't understand, and that's the way I explain it to a lot of people in my industry and those things. So I think a lot of you guys do construction work off the side or something along that. Everyone uses tools in off-roading.
Oh yeah.
Either they work on their vehicle or they do it for a living.
Yep.
And it'd be cool to kind of show that, this is a hobby that a lot of people out, especially in the Sacramento market, come out and do. And then when we gather all together in one place and we bring our vehicles out there, like, this is really cool. And they're even more behind it. And they support it even.
Sweet. I like it. So show up July 15. That is a Saturday, right?
It's a Saturday.
Yep.
And
so yeah, should be fun. And that's Fasteners Inc. in West Sacramento.
Nope, and Sacramento Power End Road. So
Sacramento, that's down there. Okay,
so down in there. So you guys know where the old Stellar Built shop is? It's right in that same almost complex area. Yeah,
nice. Okay,
yeah. So there's a nice little parking lot. You can't miss the building. It's just Pastor's Tool Outlet. And if you guys aren't able to come, if you're not in the Sacramento area, we get it. We understand. We like I said, we'll have some discounts for you guys online for you guys to make some purchases and a discount code.
Sweet.
But if you're able to make it, come in person because you'll get more stuff than you will online.
Yep. Cool. I like it. Let's see. Anything else that we can get into this episode about Flex and kind of maybe the future of Flex? I know we talked a little bit about the tools coming out. It sounds like kind of the door is wide open because the battery technology exists for it to be wide open now. So it sounds like there's a lot of things coming. Like I said, we talked a little bit about it. Flex is a German company. And so that's their main market. And they just decided recently to start getting into the United States market.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be really cool seeing what you guys do, you and Flex, over the next few years for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a really cool thing as they broaden it out for a long period of time. There's just so many different things that are coming out that I've seen the roadmap that is just like, that would be cool. That'd be cool. And there's variations of things different happen. I got to play with the other day a nailer that was insanely light and small.
Really?
And it was so powerful. And the things that they're just doing, it's just to the next level. Right?
Yeah, that's cool.
And so, it's what's next is really when we think, okay, what can we do next to really further things? And that's what's really exciting.
That is cool. I love it when companies come into a very traditional industry and just take over and kind of push the whole industry forward. Yeah.
And that's really what a lot of this is doing. And obviously they were in Lowe's. So some of that was like, it's a gimmicky brand, but and that was so when we first picked up the stuff and we started doing, sales for them, I was, and rightfully so, you were, I think Jimmy was a little bit, okay, what's the deal with this stuff? And I had to I know how to talk to you, like, okay, do some research on it.
Yep.
And because we both are nerdy like that, as you could hear, we could talk batteries for another, hour and a half. You look at it, it's like, oh wait, no, they're doing things differently. They're approaching it a lot different. Yep. And it's really cool as it gets together within that, So
I think one thing that really stands out for me is a lot of people don't know the brand, so they assume it's just some new company that's hitting the market with some gimmicky tool. But the thing is, it's not a new brand. I mean, maybe that's a new way of thinking in the electronics industry, but their cordless brand and its reddish color, kind of rusty kind of red color, is immense. Like they have a product line that's really big and they've been in business for a ton of years, just not in America. And so I think it's really cool that Flex will be willing to work with us and help promote this. And I say a massive thank you to Flex for allowing us to help share the message out there. And I'm super excited to get it into listeners' hands and actually hear what their opinion is, and to hear them say, you know, I have this other brand and now I'm playing with this one and it's, you know, I like it or I don't like it. I'm really interested to hear what people are going to say about it out there. But I think the major misconception of Flex is it's just another tool brand, where the thing is, really it's not. It's, you know, it's been around for a long time. It just hasn't been in America.
But you know, coming into the US though, this is when they launched, okay, what, you know, really, okay, the people aren't going to like you said, it's not, the legacy is there in the back end. They've been making the tools a long time, but really, right, pushing the envelope. Okay, if we're going to bring it here to the US, there has to be something that's different. There has to be something that resonates, not only with that. And it's just not power. I mean, you know, you always like more power, like Tim the Toolman Taylor. We don't want to laugh. Oh, more power, more power. But what you could do with the different things within that power and the ability to kind of regulate that power and mess with it. So like we mentioned here in the battery technology, along with the battery management system, to the motors and different things you could do with that. I mean, the compact stuff that's coming out, that just come out, you know, are so super small. But then you could but then you don't lose all the power. So you're able, because you were able to scale it up big. Now you can start scaling back some of that power and utilizing the different things within the battery platform, which is just insane. And it's really cool. I mean, we got that little vacuum over there. That's little tiny little thing shot back that, you know, you wouldn't think about. It's like, oh, it's a tiny little, it's perfect for a car to be able to do all these different things in it. But because you have the power of that battery that you're able to run those different things on, now you're able to have the suction of essentially a lot larger unit and a lot smaller body. And so you're able to do a lot of these things going forward.
When I was at your house, I mean, I think we tested a few reciprocating saws. We tasted a few different circular saws. We even did the grinder, I think. And then we made a pretty decent mess on your driveway. And you just pulled out this tiny little vacuum. And you're like going to town, and I'm like, go get a broom, go get something, like, let's concentrate this stuff. And by the time you found the broom, I was pretty much done vacuuming, because it's that good. And it's so small, you figure it's not going to be that functional. But I was just as fat, you know, I would assume like you kind of wipe it across the concrete that we were using. It's like I'd have to do that like 4 times to collect everything. But it wasn't the case. I would go across the concrete and it sucked it all up so I can move to another spot. It was really cool.
And then we found out later what setting you had it on.
It was on 2.
It was on 1.
Oh, was it on 1?
It was on 1. It wasn't even on the high setting.
Oh, that's right. It only has 2, right?
Yeah,
it has high, low.
High, low.
So it was on the low setting, not the high setting.
Yeah, that's a wet dry back, right? Yep. So and you can output it too. So like there's really cool things when you look at that stuff like that you're able to do with a lot of that stuff. So you know, so new generation of tools and forward thinking with that. I mean, that's the cool thing. And the good thing about the parent company Shervon that bought Flex and bought the other that brought forth the Ego is that they're investing a lot into it, a lot into that, and they want that brand to actually be what it says it to be. That's why they're giving a lifetime warranty on it, which is unheard of in power tools.
Yeah,
it's because they know it's good, and they just got to get the people to use it and see it that's good. And so we get some great brand ambassadors here. That'll be awesome.
Sweet. Well, I'm looking forward to helping tell everybody about them and sharing the story about what Flex stands for and the way they're pushing the industry forward. So I think it's going to be fun. Huge thank you to Flex for coming on for Power Tool Month and doing all the cool stuff for the listeners. I'm really interested to get some of these in my hands and start playing around with them and hearing what listeners have to say about them too. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
If you have any questions for us, you can always find Tyler and I over on Instagram. Tyler watches over 4x4 Toyota Tyler. Maybe he'll be changing that to Ford soon. We'll find out. You can find me over at Snail Trail 4x4, which is also where the post will be up for this week's giveaway. Go check out Snail Trail 4x4. You can find us on our or you can get in contact with us through our emails, Jimmy or Tyler at snailtrail4x4.com. Or yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
And then you can phone in and ask us some questions if you want about Flex Power Tools. You can do that at 916-345-4744. Corey, how can people get in contact with you?
Through IG is the best way to do it. So it's CW_Corey.
Cool.
CK_Corey. Yeah. GW was the old one. So you can find that one. So CK_Corey.
Nice.
And so you can find me there.
Cool. I like it. So I guess with that, Jimmy, final words for everybody out there.
I'm just super amazed with the tools that are coming out these days. It's breaking boundaries. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Corey, final words.
Let's flex on them, boys.
And with that, my friends, keep crawling.
I got one.
You got a joke?
I got a joke.
All right.
I'm ready.
I can relax today.
Yeah. What is the most emotionally resilient tool?
Oh, I don't know.
A coping saw.
Oh, that's that's pretty good.
Okay.
I got one more for you.
Oh, all right. Bring it on.
Yeah, Jimmy really gets a vacation today.
This is specifically for I believe Ben, who loves his superheroes in Star Wars.
Okay.
Why call the Avengers for a home improvement project?
Don't know.
Because they're always assembling.
Yeah. I don't think Ben will get that one.